Tommy Lane, who is the manager of Chinese heavyweight contender Zhang Zhilei, also sometimes called Zhilei Zhang, says his boxer is ready to fight the best out there, including Anthony Joshua. He's ready to step in and fight AJ if the Tyson Fury fight falls through. So Tommy Lane said the following quote: Zhang just beat Hrgovic unofficially, right? Just to interject. He just beat Hrgovic, who many top contenders have avoided flat turned down. We know Zhang didn't get his hand raised, but Zhang won that fight. Also, Hrgovic took a beating and needs some time to recover. Zhang went back to the hotel after the fight. Hrgovic went to the hospital. AJ and Zhang are on the same schedule. They fought last on the same night. Zhang didn't get hurt during his fight. He's already back in the gym and will be fresh and ready to go if AJ wants it. Zhang and Joshua also have history and unfinished business from the amateurs when they fought in the 2012 Olympics. Zhang has all of China behind him, and AJ is still one of the main faces of professional boxing. Joshua versus Zhang is by far the biggest fight out of the other options Eddie Hearn has publicly mentioned. Goes on to say, I'm not sure if Fury versus Joshua gets made. I think Joshua wants it, but you never know what Fury's intentions or plans are. This might be a negotiation tactic with Usyk or someone else. Only Fury knows. I don't think Joshua beats Fury, but it's another shot at the heavyweight championship for a ton of money, so I don't think you can say it's the wrong fight for AJ. But if that fight falls through, we're ready, willing, and able to come to London to fight Joshua when he's ready. Given their styles, AJ versus Zhang would promise to be an explosive fight for the fans. Okay, so those are the words of Tommy Lane, the manager of The Big Bang. Now, the fight he was referring to in the amateurs is one that I'm very familiar with. If you haven't seen it, you can watch at least the highlights of it on YouTube. You may be able to find the full fight somewhere, but I remember watching it at the time, and I have watched it a couple times since. AJ won it pretty comfortably. People talk about the Erislandy Savon fight, which we all know AJ didn't deserve to win. Other people also say in the final against Roberto Camarel, AJ was fortunate to get the nod there. But there was a couple of fights in his Olympics in 2012 which he won without any controversy. One of them was against Ivan Ditchko, and the other here against Zhilei Zhang. This is me pausing the video, which shows, I think, all of AJ's highlights of all of AJ's fights in the Olympics. And this is a right hand that hits Zhang on the chin and actually drops him pretty heavy. AJ won the fight pretty comfortably against Zhang. Would it be any different in the pros? Well, who knows? Things do change. When you got the little gloves on and no headgear, 10-ounce fight gloves are extremely solid a lot of the time. Well, there are different kinds of fight gloves with different padding, but if you put a typical pair of Grants on, or a pair of Everlast Elite, or a pair of Rival Guerreros with the HDE foam, I think it's HDEF foam, they feel like a brick when they're on your hand. They're not soft at all. There's almost no give in them at all. It's like a brick. And then, of course, there are other gloves which they call puncher's gloves. I don't really subscribe to that whole idea of puncher's gloves, but there are other gloves like horsehair gloves, which the padding is almost, I don't want to say non-existent, but it's so soft that you can easily feel your knuckle through the padding, right? But anyway, professional fight gloves are a completely different thing than amateur fight gloves, which are heavier. They're like 12 ounce and extremely heavily padded, so on and so forth. So maybe it'll be different with the pro fight gloves on without the headgear and over the course of 10 or 12 rounds rather than 3 rounds. When you got to win a fight in 3 rounds, you have to have some urgency about you. You can't take your time. You can't necessarily set traps over the course of a number of rounds the way you can in the professional game. You got to get things done quickly. And that suits some fighters more so than others. Maybe Zhang feels that the professional code suits his style better. and that AJ had an advantage when they were in the amateurs. Or maybe it's not even about any of that. Maybe it's just about getting a big fight, getting a money-making fight, right, where you're going to get a big payday. And if that's not a world title shot because the belts are all tied up with Fury and Usyk and what have you, then the next best thing is to fight Anthony Joshua. Because outside of the champions, he's still the biggest payday, I would imagine. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, based upon what you saw Zhang do against Filip Hrgovic, how much of a chance would you give him against AJ now? Do you think that now, again, over the course of 10 or 12, Zhang would actually get to AJ? Would he be able to outpoint him, outlast him, knock him out? Would he be able to weather perhaps an early onslaught from AJ, who does have the faster hands, who does throw the better straight shots? I mean, you can see that even from their amateur fight. And now, would he be able to weather that storm and then come on in the mid and late rounds to maybe get a stoppage? Because he certainly put some hurting on Filip Hrgovic in the mid and late rounds. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the prospect of Anthony Joshua facing the Big Bang Zhang. Personally, just from an entertainment perspective as a fan, I prefer the Zhang fight, AJ versus Zhang, than let's say AJ versus Otto Wallin. If AJ wasn't to fight Tyson Fury for whatever reason, and they're proposing the likes of Wallin and whoever else, I would prefer the Zhang fight. I think it would be more entertaining. I think there's more chance of a knockout either way, So that's my perspective. Give me your perspective in the comments. If you're tired of the biased narratives and mass censorship on mainstream platforms, and you want to be part of a community of critical thinkers who love free speech just as much as you do, then come and join me on Patreon and access my weekly no-holds-barred, censorship-free podcast where we lift the lid on a wide variety of controversial topics. It's not mainstream friendly, it's not politically correct, but that's the whole point. We dare to stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Hot Topics. You'll gain access to a minimum of 2 hours of exclusive content every single week, including podcasts, videos, interviews, live stream Q&As, as well as my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Not to mention a vast back catalog of hundreds of hours of previous episodes. You can listen via the Patreon app with the option to download in high quality MP3. We've also got an Element group where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. Unlike Discord, it has full end-to-end encryption, is decentralized, and is 100% censorship free. You can also send voice notes as well as much larger audio and video files than you can on Discord. So come and sign up on Patreon. There's no contract, there's no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a cup of coffee. So I'll see you over there. I'm out.